Hey everyone, the Arthur of Gaming here. I'm trying out a new video series, and I want you guys to watch. So let's check this out. My idea for this video series is unusual characters. So we all know out there, you see all the time, there are people that get on Facebook or on various forums, and they start asking, what is the optimal build for a rogue? What race should I play? My answer for that is almost always, what race do you want to play? Like, play something different and like interesting. In my Riverbreak campaign, for instance, Ember Moon, she plays a Minotaur rogue, which seems odd, of course, but yeah, it's just fun. It's different. It's weird. I've certainly in my home games and stuff, when I get to play, which isn't often, but when I do get to play, I tend to play weird characters that are not optimal characters. So what I've done here, this one particularly, we are going to start with the unusual characters, which is the name of the series, and we're going to start with the Barbarian. So if we take a look at our screen here, I got D&D Beyond is here. I have pulled up the Barbarian. For this purpose, I'm just going to go with Player's Handbook stuff, because obviously, with all the supplements stuff that are out now, the list of books and options for races is very expansive. And I don't want to get too complicated with it right now. What I'm trying to prove here with these videos are that at low levels, the optimal build makes a big difference, or at least a difference. I don't know how big it is, but it's a difference. It's a substantial difference. As your characters progress in levels, I feel like that difference is going to diminish, and it's going to get lower and lower, and not really make a difference. So yes, while it is important to survive the low levels to get to the higher levels, I say just play something cool and different that you want to play, not something that is optimal because you want to be the most damage or the best armor class or whatever. Play something different and cool. So that's where I'm going with this. So we have our Barbarian class. If we scroll down and look, the Barbarian should have Strength and Constitution, right? That's their primary saving throws. If you think about it, that's pretty much exactly what the Barbarian is, right? You need Constitution for hit points and Strength to deal damage, right? That's what Barbarians are. They're rage monsters that don't take much damage when they're raging, and they have high hit points, and they deal a crap load of damage. If you can get a room with a bunch of monsters in it, and you can wind the Barbarian up and push him in the middle and just watch him go to town. As a note, by the way, I'm probably just going to keep using him throughout the video, not because I don't think women can't be barbarians, but I want to keep the pronouns simple, and I'm just going to stick with him for right now. Maybe in other videos I'll use her or they, whichever one. Not choosing any particular pronoun over like the other. So if we look at our Barbarian, so here I've chosen, actually let's go back for a second, races. Let's look at races that get bonuses to Strength or Constitution. So Dragonborns get a bonus to Strength and the Charisma, decent. Dwarves are Constitution. Elves are Dexterity, not optimal for a Barbarian, except for armor class purposes. Gnome is Intelligence, way outside the rules for a good Barbarian. Half-Elf is Charisma, +1 to 2 others. Not bad. Like, maybe not the best or the worst, somewhere in the middle. I mean, the +2 to Charisma, Barbarians really aren't the charismatic type unless you want to like intimidate and use your Charisma to do it. Or maybe you're going to play a Conan the Barbarian kind of Barbarian, where you want to maybe rule a land at some point in time. Then maybe Charisma would be good, and you could play a half-elf. Give him +2 to Charisma, +1 to Strength, +1 to Con. Maybe not bad. Halflings, the Dexterity is helpful, but not the best. Half-orcs, good choice, right? +2 to Strength, +1 to Con. Humans, +1 to all ability scores. Good, could be good. And don't forget the variant human gets +1 to 2 different scores, and you get a feat, so not bad for a first level Barbarian. And Tiefling is Charisma Intelligence, not optimal at all. Now the other part is if you look at the Dwarf, you remember you have the sub races of the Dwarf, right? So the sub race is also like the regular Dwarf gets Con +2, but then if you look at the Duragar, the Grey Dwarves, they get a Strength +1. Pretty good. All these other really cool things like Enlarge, Reduce, and Invisibility, which are good and very good. I'm not going to use Duragar for this, but would be a good choice. Hill Dwarf is +1 to Wisdom, not really a great thing to have. And then Mountain Dwarf, which is the one I chose, right? Because they get +2 to Constitution for being a dwarf, and then +2 to Strength. Seems like a good choice, right? So we're going to go with that. So here we go. Here is my standard Barbarian, which I'm going to, which is optimal, we'll say. We're going to choose that one, and then we're going to take a look at it right now. So what I want to show is well, here's your hit points, 15, right? Pretty good. Your attacks, right? So Great Axe, your standard Mountain Dwarf. Maybe you go even like a Warhammer kind of dwarf with a big red beard and a big red mohawk or something, right? Carrying this axe around, just dropping things, destroying creatures left and right in this rage, troll slayer kind of idea, and just hacking things to pieces, right? So your attack is a +5, as we see here, and you do die 12 plus 3 damage. So that's your optimal, right? That's your optimal build, your big con, big strength build, using the standard array. So for this, I use a standard array, the 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. Standard array. Same array for both classes, or both characters. Now let's look at an unusual Barbarian. And for this one, I chose the Lightfoot Halfling. So for me, it just tickles me to think of this little tiny Lightfoot Halfling carrying a great axe and just going berserk and hacking through things. Thinking like, Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones, just going berserk. Not that he did this in the show, but going berserk in the field, just hacking away at stuff. Just, warms my heart. It makes me laugh and giggle just to think of the craziness behind it. Because you're so used to seeing the other, right? Not that a halfling can't be vicious and a killer and crazy, but just that no one ever plays that. Everybody always plays different. The big brutish guys with the axes. So if we look, remember our standard Barbarian has 15 hit points. Our unusual Barbarian has 14 hit points. A little bit of a difference. Can be important. Again, at the low levels, very important. And if you look, our attack with the Great Axe is now +4 to hit, and it's die 12 plus 2. So remember, with our standard Barbarian, we were +5 to hit, die 12 plus 3. So, difference, right? 1 less to hit, 1 less damage. Can be important, especially at the low levels. If you, the +5 to hit, it has, mathematically, like 20% more to attack or something along those lines. We'll just take a quick little messing around thought, and you do 1 less point of damage. So you are going to hit more often, you are going to deal more damage, and you are going to have 1 more hit point at first level. Now, let's look at a 5th level Barbarian. So let's edit this Barbarian. And for those of you who maybe don't know how to edit the classes and such, we're just going to we're going to go to level 5. I think I'll do 1, 5, 10, and 20, just for a couple of options here. We're going to look at a Primal Path. Let's just go with something pretty straightforward. Go with the Battle Rager, or go with the Berserker. Go with the Berserker. Berserker! We'll go with an ability score improvement here instead of a feat. Because I think this is where it's really where the numbers are really going to come in. As far as to hit goes, it'll make a difference there. We'll go with our ability scores, of course. We'll go with our Constitution, and we'll go with our Strength, right? Because that's what we're trying to improve here. So we'll do that. We'll bring that one there. Now let's take our unusual Barbarian and do the same thing, right? So let's take him to level 5. Let's also give him the Primal Path of the Berserker. And then we'll go with ability score improvement again. We'll go with our Constitution, and we'll go with our Strength. Right, so now those are all the same choice that is made with both characters. Let's take a look. So now here we are, level 5, Mountain Dwarf Barbarian. This is our standard Barbarian, or our optimal Barbarian. Now, at level 5, we are looking at a +6 to hit with the Great Axe, doing a die 12 plus 3. Right? Because we put the +1 and our con and our strength, and in this case, that made our Constitution even, which is going to give us more hit points, which we'll look at in a second. And it's going to make our strength not change in this case, because it was a 16, so the +1 didn't help in strength. So here at 5th level, the standard Barbarian has 60 hit points, is a +6 to hit for a die 12 +3 damage. Let's look at our unusual Barbarian. 55 hit points, 5 less hit points because our Constitution, right? Which did help when we added the +1. That got us more hit points here too, but it is behind. And then the +1 to strength doesn't look like that helped too much either. So in this case, Great Axe is +5 to hit, die 12 +2 damage. So again, +6 to hit for die 12 +3, +5 to hit for a die 12 +2. So we're still behind by 1 to hit and 1 on damage. And of course, now, if you look at this, any change in magic items are going to drastically change this. Either way, right? If you got a +1 weapon with your standard Barbarian and you didn't get it with your unusual, that gives you even more of a gap. Whereas with the unusual Barbarian, if you get a +1 weapon, it closes the gap if the standard didn't get it. So we're going to go without magic items just to kind of look at the numbers like this. But again, little tiny halfling, big axe, going berserk, just sounds cool to me. So now let's take a look. Let's go back to our standard Barbarian. We're going to edit the build. We're going to go back to the builder and edit the character. Let's go to level 10. See if we have any more options to make. We do. We have another option here to make. We'll go with another ability score improvement. And again, we'll choose Constitution and we'll choose Strength. Again, like our two obvious ones, right? Go back to our unusual Barbarian. We're going to do the same thing. Oh, I forgot to change my level. Level to 10. And ability score improvement, we'll go Constitution, Strength. There we go. So, standard Barbarian, looking at them, right? 115 hit points. I'm now up to a +8 with my Great Axe as a standard Barbarian at level 10. So this is our Mountain Dwarf, right? 115 hit points, +8 to hit, doing die 12 +4 damage with the Great Axe. Our unusual Barbarian, 105 hit points, so now we're 10 behind. Again, about 1 per level behind. We're at +7 to hit, 1d12 +3 damage. So we're still tailing 1 like behind here. But as you go, if you remember, the bad guys' armor classes don't change all that much. You know, in the base monster manual, what's the highest armor class on any monster? Like a 21, I think it is. In the base monster manual. So being 1 point behind, again, not that big of a deal, especially at these levels, right? You're getting to a point where your attack is still going up. The monster's AC is really not changing all that much. You know, you could at first level end up fighting something with an AC of 18 and fight something at 10th level with an AC of 18. So that's not really changing all that much, but your attack is still going up. And then the last one to look at here, let's just take a quick look at 20th level. I haven't built a 20th level Barbarian ever, so let's take a look at that. See what kind of craziness this turns into. Another ability score improvement. So let's do our ability score improvement. And let's go with Constitution, and let's go with Strength. Again, feats make a big difference here. I do know that, but we could be here all day trying to finagle feats back and forth and which one should we take, etc. So, another ability score to increase. So let's do the same thing, right? Strength and Constitution. Oh, I can't do Constitution now because I've maxed it out. So let's do Dexterity, right? Because that's going to adjust our armor class. And then another one, ability score improvement. Can we do Strength again? So now we can't do Strength at all either. So we'll do Dexterity again, and we'll do Wisdom for Perception bonus, right? So just strictly stat bonus changes. Let's jump this guy to 20th level. Again, staying the same class. I'm not talking about changing classes in the middle or adding classes different types, because that's going to add a whole other thing onto here. Again, Strength and Constitution. Ability score, we should lose our option for Constitution, Strength. We're still there. See, we're still increasing our Strength and Constitution because the halfling didn't max it out yet. And then we look at Constitution and Strength. So our halfling has never maxed out at this point. Maybe 20 is where he finally maxes out, but has not maxed out his Strength or his Constitution. So let's take a look. So back to our standard Barbarian. So you look here, we're up to a 24 Strength, a 24 Constitution. That's completely insane. 285 hit points. I mean, granted though, we are 20th level at this point. This Barbarian's 20th level. They should be pretty badass. They should be pretty amazing. Just, again, wind them up, throw them into a room, watch them kill everything. You know, that's 285 hit points while taking half damage in a rage is just insane. I mean, you're looking at, what is that? Quick math, 570 hit points of damage you have to do to take this guy out. Insane. Crazy. But now let's look at our Great Axe attack is plus 13. Pretty awesome, right? And does die 12 plus 7. Again, though, fighting standard monster manual monsters, again, if the AC is 21, or you find something with like an AC of 22, you're still looking at like needing an 8 or a 9 to hit on your die. You know, how much of a difference is it going to be? Let's look at the unusual Barbarian. So this one, again, our Lightfoot Halfling. Now we're looking at a 23 Strength, still one behind. Our Constitution is now caught up, though. So at 20th level, 285 hit points, just like the other one. Again, I understand. 20th level. Who's going to... Number one, most people don't get to 20th level most of the time. But how big of a difference is it really making? Now at 20th level, we've caught up. Hit points are the same. AC is the same. If you look, AC 19 for the standard Barbarian, 19 for the unusual. AC is the same. Same hit points. Going to still have to do that 570 points of damage, right? And our attack is plus 12, doing die 12 plus 6. So our attack through all the levels has still stayed one behind the attack, one behind on damage the entire time. Although it came really darn close to catching up. However, again, if your ACs are at 20th level are still only 21, 22, maybe 23, you're still only needing, 8, 9, 10, 11 on your die to hit. So you're hitting way more than 50% of the time. And you're really not doing that much less damage, right? You're very close between both of them. So I think my point kind of holds. We do see that as far as attack and damage goes, which is important for the Barbarian. It stays, the standard Barbarian stays like one ahead the entire build. But do you really want to sit down to a table at Gen Con, for instance, and sit down across from 5 other Mountain Dwarf Barbarians, all with the same build and playing? Now, yes, I realize the odds of that happening is rare. However, I do have some friends who, back in a previous edition of Dungeons & Dragons, did go to Gen Con. They did sit down at a table, the 2 of them, with 4 other people to play D&D. They had whatever kind of weirdo characters they wanted to play, because they're kind of like me. They just play whatever they think sounds cool. But the other 4 players were Gnoll Barbarians. Not even kidding. Completely serious. So you can see how uninspiring and how boring that can be, right? Like, literally the 4 other characters were Gnoll Barbarians, had almost the exact same build as each other, and were almost the same character. For me, I want to play interesting, weird, new characters, different characters. When people look at me playing my character, they're like, why would you play that? Because it's fun and cool and neat. Not that playing a standard Barbarian is not fun, cool, and neat. You can certainly have a good time with a Mountain Dwarf Barbarian and go with it. But why not play something different, right? So that's why I would choose the Lightfoot Halfling Barbarian out of these 2, just because it's different and it's weird. And I like the idea of playing someone who looks like they're about a 6-year-old human with a big old axe and cutting people's heads off, and it just seems kind of funny to me. I don't know, maybe it tickles some sort of weird, slaying, little child slaying thing inside me or something. I don't know. But I think that sounds cool. So going back, we'll look at the Barbarian class. So those are my thoughts, right? I think that my point was pretty well proven, although I was still behind on the attack and damage. But I think it's pretty good. I think the Barbarian is a solid class. No beef against the Barbarian at all. I like all the classes in some way. They all hold a really good place, I think, in the game. And I think that you certainly could play a different kind of class and really, show a different side of things and play something weird and different. Or at worst, if you're a DM, make a Barbarian Halfling NPC that the players run into and just show off just how weird and cool it could be as a NPC. So that's it for this, guys. That's it for Unusual Characters, the Barbarian Edition. As usual, I am the Arthur of Gaming. You can find me on Instagram at the Arthur of Gaming, my YouTube channel at the Arthur of Gaming. If you go to my Instagram, the link is in the bio to get to my channel. Please like this video if you thought it was good. Comment, let me know what other kind of things you like. I'm going to go through and do a video for all the classes eventually, doing this unusual build. Subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get as much content up as I can for you guys and different things that I think might be interesting, especially for new players and such. So if you, in this video, for instance, if you didn't really know how to add levels onto a class in D&D Beyond, maybe here's a way to, learn a little bit about that. And as always out there, it's a very strange and crazy world, everybody. So stay safe.